Hi, everybody. My name is Sophia Bierman. I am a psychic medium. I have been on the Travel Channel for the Dogman / Werewolf show, and I have been on the Josh Gates show for their Dogman Werewolf and Expedition Unknown. And recently I have been added to the IMDB TV channel as well. I live in Hartland, Wisconsin. I have recently spoke at the Elkhorn first year for their Dogman Beast of Bray Rd show. You can also find me on Facebook, so feel free to reach out and speak with me about anything you'd like to. You can instant message me there. I saw the Dogman, as people refer to it as. I also refer to it as the werewolf. Many people have seen this in Wisconsin. I have seen it, as I mentioned, twice on my property, and it has been here 3 times total. The first time I saw it, it was probably 5 years ago. And the first time I saw it, it was in July at 1:30 in the morning. I took my dog out in the backyard. She had to go and I couldn't sleep. We live on about an acre property. So I went out in the backyard, looked out in my backyard, saw this creature coming, and I look, and it was gray in color, 7-foot stature tall. And I'm looking and thinking, what is that? I see it moving, and I'm thinking, no, that's not real. But it's moving at a pretty good pace, and the chest is hairy, it's full, and it's on 2 feet. It's got canine legs. They're bent, just like a regular dog, but it's standing up, straight up, moving on 2 feet. It's coming along the tree line, and I'm looking and I'm watching, and my dog and I were out on the patio, and we couldn't move. We literally could not move from that patio. And I'm still watching this thing, but it's a full moon, and all of a sudden I realized we couldn't hear anything. No grasshoppers. No kids, nothing. As most people will say, that when they saw this creature, that's what they realized also, that they could not hear anything. Everything else stopped. But I'm watching this now referred to, I'm going to refer to it as a werewolf. And it's coming along the tree line. It's moving towards me. And it was probably, I want to say maybe 70 feet from me. I can see it clearly. And like I said, it's moving across the property line from the neighbors from me, and it's coming right along the trees. And I'm going to say it was about 7 feet tall. And its chest was hairy. The whole chest was hairy, like it had a fur coat on. I'm thinking it was the neighbor kids playing a trick on me. So it's moving, coming towards me, and I'm trying to move. And my dog, she's a Yorkie Terrier, we can't move. I tried to move. And it was like we were stuck to the patio. I tried to move, and it kept moving along. And I'm going to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to get out. Hey, what are you doing? The thing was coming between 2 houses behind mine where they divide. And it was right at that point between the 2 property lines. I'm trying to say, hey, what are you doing? This thing turned and looked at me. And I know it read my mind. Because when it turned and looked at me, when I was trying to say, hey, what are you doing? I know it turned and looked right at me. And I know it read my mind. What are you doing? Because when it turned, it had a little bitty dog face, small snout, and little bitty pointed ears. I almost fell backwards. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. As soon as it read my mind, and I know it did because I'm a psychic medium, and I'm like, oh. The other thing is, I'm a twin. My twin sister and I, obviously, had telepathy. We knew from each other. We didn't have to say anything. So this thing obviously read my mind. And again, my dog and I couldn't move it. We were just stuck. We're kind of vibrating on the patio. And I could see this thing. And as soon as it read my mind, it turned and it walked away down through the neighbors' yards. And I watched it walk away. And its buttocks was kind of muscular. And I grew up on a farm. So I know animals, and I've heard all kinds of types of animals. I've seen all kinds of animals. I've seen bears and everything. This was not a bear, not a wolf. and walk on its four little legs. This thing walked up on its two hind legs the whole length of the back of the property and went right down between the two houses. Had a little bitty pointy ears, little snout. As soon as it left out of sight, my dog and I could move again. But its arms were down to its knees. When it walked, that's where its two arms were, and it was hairy. And I picked my dog up, and I went backwards into the house. Shut the patio doors. We have 8 feet patio doors, and I shut it. I went in by my husband. He was sleeping. I told him, I said, oh, my God, you're not going to believe what I saw. He says, go to bed. I can't go to bed. I can't sleep. My dog went under the bed for 3 days, and she wouldn't come out. But before that, I went and I looked out all of our blinds in our house. We have a rather large house here in Hartland. And I was looking out all the blinds and I thought, what did I just see? I told my husband, I said, I'm going to call the police. He says, don't you dare. They're going to think you're nuts. I said, oh, no. No, you don't. I said, I'm going to call the police. So next day I did. I called the police. And the officer that I talked to, he said, why didn't you call me? I said, well, you probably think I'm nuts. He said, no, you're not. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, somebody else, I'm going to give you the address. Not the right address, but I mean, it's pretty darn close. He said, the 1100 block of the street you live on, he said, she reported it too. I said, are you kidding me? He said, no. It was looking in her kitchen window, which her kitchen is on the back side of her house. I couldn't believe it when he told me that. And I was like, holy cow, not nuts. So I did see what I saw. But I got on my laptop and I Googled Dogman, Wisconsin. I found Linda Godfrey. She came out here and she came out with another gentleman and they went on the back of the property and she brought her camera and she was jumping up and down. And I said, unbeknownst to me, I said, what are you doing? I'm thinking she's goofy. So what are you doing, Linda? She said, well, I'm trying to get kind of like a measurement of how much this thing weighed. And, you know, the ground was really hard. It's middle of July 14th. And I said, okay. So she couldn't make a dent in the ground. Obviously, Linda doesn't weigh that much. But Linda Godfrey, she's been tracking this thing for 25 years now. She was the original one from Elkhorn. They used to write for the newspaper down there. I didn't know that. So she came out here. We took some pictures of the footprints, how big they were. And they were pretty big, probably a size 20. I have the pictures yet of these things. And they were all over the back of the berms back there. But this creature, which I'm going to refer to, and I know darn well what I saw. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. The tree that this thing touched is now dead. That first incident. So it walked under that tree and it's dead. We can best estimate that it was 7 feet tall and it weighed probably around minimum 700 pounds. So like I said, Linda couldn't make any dent in the dirt from what she was doing, but she estimated that's what it weighed. So probably a year went by and I come to look, I have 2 autistic children. They have the gift of being psychic as well. And my daughter would always say, Mommy, there's something in the bushes. Well, being a mother, you all know that you're going to protect your children. I would say I'm going to go out there and beat it. So here I go and look in the front of the house and I have bearded irises that were planted out there. I look and big footprint out in the middle of my bearded irises in front of the house by my daughter's window. Oh my God. Here we go. I have a picture of that footprint, which was on Expedition X. And that's the picture they used in that show for Josh Gates. I don't know how big the footprint is, maybe a size 20 or so or more, but killed my plant. Absolutely killed it, crushed it. They didn't grow back at all. So this werewolf, again, like I'm going to refer to, I didn't see it that time, obviously, but it was looking at my daughter's window. And again, this was the middle of summer. And like I said, absolutely killed it. I had to replant some bearded irises from somewhere else. And I couldn't believe it. So then probably 8 months later, I let my service dog out around the other side of the house it was October and it was cold. And I let her out my service door, and there's some evergreens on that side of the house, and they are probably 30 feet tall, and they are side by side that you can't even see through them. And my little Yorkie again, she's probably 11 pounds. I let her out, and here I go and look to the left, and this thing growled at me, but it wasn't the same one. And I look, and it's standing upright on its 2 feet again, another one. But this one it was gray in color, same as the other one. But I could tell that it was older. And it was standing straight up in between the trees. And its paws were kind of out and up near its face. And it just growled at me, and it had a longer snout. And I could tell it was older because obviously, like I said, I grew up on a farm and we had to put some of our animals down. But it was older, and it had a longer nose. And its skin was kind of like it had mange or something. But it was, like I said, it was older. And I said to my dog, I said, get back in here. And she ran right back in the service door. But this thing, like I said, it was still up on its 2 hind legs, standing there in between the trees. And I mean, I got a good look at it, but it growled at me. And I came back in the house, and it was, getting wintertime, and said to my husband, I said, he was out there. And he just looked at me. I said, well, look. And he just shook his head at me. Okay, whatever. So people have asked me, obviously, like I said, you're welcome to contact me, whatever you want, your thoughts on this. And they asked why I think they come near me or on this property. They asked me if I think it's somebody maybe out here that I know. But me being a psychic medium, I think I see these things because I have the ability to see other things, spirits and things like that. But they've also asked me if it's somebody I may know in this area. But maybe it is. Maybe it's somebody that's turning into a werewolf out here. Possible. Quite possible. These things used to protect people years ago, but it may be somebody out here that's turning into werewolf, both on full moons. The land that I live on is Indian land. I know that. It's different. Like I said, the first one I know communicated with me. Maybe they're trying to reach me for a reason. I don't know. But I always tell people too, they go out there looking for these things. I would not go looking for them. Obviously, like I said, I grew up on a farm. If you're going to go looking for these things and you corner them, they're going to attack you. I don't think either one of them would have hurt me. I wasn't looking to hurt them. You corner an animal in a cage, what are you going to do? It's going to try to defend itself. Like I said, I wouldn't go looking for them. Obviously, I accidentally saw them. They're around me. They come by me. I live kind of rural area out here in Hartland, Wisconsin. That's Hartland, by the way. Don't spell it like a regular heart. People make that mistake often out here. But I think these things have been around for a long time, longer than people have, obviously. But they do exist. People come up and ask me, do you think they really exist? Of course they do. I've seen them twice. And people who say that they don't, you better wake up. Because they do exist. I think more so on full moons. For some reason, I don't know. I mean, people get goofy on full moons. That's a known fact. Ask the hospitals. People do weird stuff on the full moon. The last incident out here, too, was on Memorial Day. I found a Bigfoot print out here. It smelled horrible. I was digging around in my berm, and there I looked on the other side, and I found a Bigfoot print. So I have a lot of activity on my property. and other things too out here. So if you ask me, yeah, I mean, I never used to believe in a lot of that stuff with werewolves, and I knew Bigfoot. We had a Yeti up north, but yeah, I obviously have seen it. And like I said, but I wouldn't go looking for it. Sometime you're not going to find something that you want. You may find something else, but they're out there. Like I said, until the day I die, I will believe it.